Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we'll have the latest from the live radar, run for the latest UKV, have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days, as we are going to see still relatively dry and warm conditions over the next 3 or 4 days, a few odd showers, but generally a continuation of what we've seen recently. But as we head towards the end of the week, things are all going to change. We can already start to see the hints on the latest UKV of the Atlantic getting unlocked. Cloud, rain and colder temperatures would likely soon follow. We can just about see the periphery of that today. So that breakdown is coming, just as we have alluded to over the past week. So yeah, only a matter of days now before we do see that big pattern change. We have to have a look at the longer range on the latest GFS, GEM, ECMWF and the ensembles, where this sort of westerly flow is pretty locked in now as we do progress into the final week of May. We are going to see a lot of rain, especially in the west, but it's those finer details that we're going to have to really hammer home over the next few days, seeing how much rain are we going to see, how cold or cool is it going to get, and are we going to see a change into early June? Could we see high pressure return, or at least a changing wind direction? At the moment, it does look like we're sort of losing this very dry, stationary high pressure system for a fairly stationary and persistent westerly flow. So changing one sort of pattern for the other, doesn't look like there's much going on apart from that. So again, we'll have to wait and see, but definitely something to keep an eye on as we progress into early summer. So do remember, if you enjoyed the video, do like and subscribe. Now, if you start on the live radar once again, calling this a little bit later in the evening, around 8:30, you can see it is a dry evening. A few odd showers breaking out across the Irish Sea or just out to the North Sea, and those are going to increase in intensity and are becoming a little bit more widespread through Monday and Tuesday. But that's just as we start to see the high pressure breaking down, a bit of lower pressure developing, a bit of instability, but it's just a few odd showers. There's nothing too crazy at this stage. The proper breakdown, as I said, is coming later on this week. Now, we have seen an easterly wind over the past few days. It has died down a bit this weekend, and that has allowed those temperatures to be a bit warmer more widely. You can see here there's still an east-west split. Best conditions over the past few days have been across the Republic of Ireland, but that east-west split hasn't been as pronounced as it was through Wednesday or Thursday, where there was a real cool feel in the east. Still cooler than it's been over the past few weeks, probably around the high teens, low 20s, varying quite a lot with the cloud amounts. So not bad, but nothing crazy, anything we'd expect as we head into summer. Now, if you have a look at the latest UKV now, you can see as we progress into Monday, a few odd showers breaking out in the thicker cloud, and progressively through Monday, again, some showers breaking out in the west and the northwest, especially where we again see some of that thicker cloud. Into Tuesday, again, some cloud coming in off the east, off the North Sea, and again, a few heavy showers or even some thunderstorms breaking out there around lunchtime on Tuesday. Again, don't take the positionings and intensities too literally here. Could shift quite significantly, and again, we'll update this once again tomorrow. But it's really progressively through Wednesday, we see that shift from more of an easterly to a northerly, and eventually the wind starts to come in from the west, and that is the high pressure getting moved out of the way. And then look what happens into Friday. A wall of cloud and rain starts to move in off the Atlantic. Now, it's not an immediate breakdown. It's not one significant chunky weather front moving through. It will take a good few hours, even a few days for us to fully push through, but you can see the first signs of deeper lower pressure coming in off the Atlantic. The main low is still well out to sea, but generally that westerly flow returning, and yes, will turn us much more unsettled and probably cooler, but at this stage we actually would be going into a warmer sector, so actually might turn a bit milder for a time later on this week before we would likely see cooler conditions once that westerly properly gets going. Now, do look at the 2 metre temperatures, going to be fairly consistent over the coming days. Still got that east-west split, and you can see as we head into Monday, still seeing that around the mid to high teens or low 20s. Of course, cooler, we've got a bit of cloud and showers further northwards. Into Tuesday, it's a similar story. Again, where we avoid the showers and the cloud, 22, 23, elsewhere mid to high teens. And into Wednesday, again, a similar story. Could even get up to 24 degrees there. Thursday, starting to lose that warmth as the wind direction shifts more of a northerly, more towards the mid to high teens, and into Friday. Still pleasant as the wind veers to more of a westerly, but then you can see it's more of a west-east split with the warmest conditions in the east this time. See the Republic of Ireland cooling down quite significantly across the west coast, and that is that westerly flow starting to push in. Now we're going to have a look at this longer range in a bit more detail here on the latest GFS. You can see over the coming days the wind direction is starting to shift as the high pressure breaks down, and you can see into next weekend that westerly wind fully unlocks. Still high pressure in the south, which could keep the rain, or at least the heaviest rain, at bay for a time, but generally speaking the low wind's out, and you can just see it really doesn't go anywhere for the rest of this run. Pretty slow moving as well, so again could be quite a convection based low pressure system. So yes, we could see some walls of rain at times, but I do suspect with slow moving low pressure systems it's normally convection, showers and thunderstorms which do produce the majority of the rain. You can see the accumulated precipitation. Look at all of those blues, pinks and purples all coming in off the Atlantic. You can see the conveyor belt of moisture, and that is what's going to happen when we see a westerly flow this time of year. And you can just see lots of showers. Again, don't take any of these sort of areas of colour, which is precipitation too literally, but if we do run back, you can see just lots of areas of rain coming in off the Atlantic, pretty much starting Friday into Saturday, and then being pretty relentless beyond that. Upper air temperatures, if we do just touch on that, again, not too bad over the next few days, but later on in the week, cooler conditions arriving, those greens pushing through, and generally we would expect to see average or even slightly below average temperatures there just to end the month and start June. Now, progressively, if you look at the GM, again, slow change in wind direction later on this week, and then eventually the low pressure systems really crash through from the Atlantic. This low south out to Iceland, really dictating the pattern, and just see chucking westerly winds our way, colder air coming in on the backside, and plenty of heavy rain and showers. You see these streaks in blue, that's showers falling along the isobars there, again where the winds converge, could produce lots of streaky showers. So again, that could be a real squally feature there progressively into late May. And finally, for the operational runs, if we check out the latest ECMWF, again, very similar. High pressure eventually clearing into next weekend. And then look at this, Atlantic systems dominating. The lows even tracking slightly further southwards. Now again, that means perhaps it could be slightly warmer at times, but it also taps into more moisture. And that means there could be even heavier rain associated with that. This midday ECMWF has just come out, so unfortunately we haven't got any finer details like the precipitation or accumulated precipitation. But take my word for it, there will be a lot of heavy rain with this run as well. Now, to finish by looking at the latest ensembles, generally speaking, temperatures are hovering around average, slightly above at times, but more below average there as we progress into the final week of May. Precipitation really spiking there into the final week. Again, we are expecting some frontal rainfall, but it mainly, I suspect, it will be convection. Looking at those pressure charts, again, we'll confirm that nearer the time, but really no change there into the longer term. This slightly cooler and unsettled pattern, it looks like it's here to stay. We see that drop in sea level pressure over the next week, a little flirting there into the early part of the week, but really the drop comes through Friday and Saturday. 2 meter temperatures are going to take a bit of a hit as well, but really nothing too crazy. Yeah, a couple of degree deviation, but I do suspect we're going to remain around those high teens for the foreseeable future. And if we do compare to the latest ECMWF as well, generally speaking, average to below average with increased precipitation as well. So real no difference there to the GFS strong cross-model consensus. So yes, unfortunately, conditions really deteriorating progressively through this week. But if you are in those areas that avoid the showers through the early parts of the week, it's not going to be too bad. So make sure you still enjoy that drier and sunnier conditions, because yeah, we can't say for certain when we'll next see some proper consistent dry weather at least for the time being. It does look like we are going to head into a pretty unsettled and abysmal period potentially there to end May and start June. We're always going to come back at some point, and I think we've finally reached that point where that change is now upon us. So anyway, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.